So Josh Pate sends out this cryptic tweet of sorts, Drake, and hints that moves are coming in the ACC. Tweeted out the water shaking as the T-Rex's feet hit the ground. Thump, thump, thump in Jurassic Park. And I'm always here for that sort of movie reference, so long as we recognize that Jeff Goldblum is the best thing to happen to that series for forever and always. But the question then becomes, what moves? And he had follow-up replies to indicate the ACC is not about to add teams, they're about to lose teams. And I would be surprised if that were Clemson or Florida State, which makes me think that other schools within the ACC could be plotting a move, at least according to Joshua, that would have them leave the ACC.
Yeah, I would say from the get-go here that if you're going to tweet something cryptic, that it's likely not that Florida State and Clemson are leaving the ACC. If Josh Pate's just now getting around on that, that would be very surprising.
He'd be a little late to the party.
As well connected as that guy is, I think that he's alluding to something else. And look, Spencer, we've dealt with for months now, 6-8 months, Kevin Smith from 24/8 saying that, I think that North Carolina is going to go to the Big Ten. And then you read the tweet and you think, oh, well, maybe. And this isn't Kevin Smith. This is Josh Pate. We all know Josh Pate. He is one of the most well-connected in the college football realm. And what's even crazier is Brett McMurphy or Ross Dellinger, they will report when a source brings something to them. When it comes to Josh Pate, he is typically the reactor. He's not the reporter. When his sources bring something, he doesn't go out and give you the breaking news. He reacts when somebody else does it. There's a place for that. I'm not knocking Josh Pate for that. But with this, when he breaks the mold, the typical way that he does his show, the way he does his media, there has to be something he knows that is enough for him to say, I am Josh Pate. People know who I am, and I am tweeting this not to be overly dramatic, but because I know something that is going to happen, and it is big in regards to the ACC. So I wouldn't say Josh Pate is this poppy clickbait. I don't think he's doing this to get more likes. He knows something that he may not be able to say yet, and he's alluding to the ACC not being in a very good spot.
Yeah, I like that take a lot, because the last time he did something of this nature with regards to realignment, it was last summer. The Pac-12 still existed, RIP, Sweet Prince, and he had said on his show, it looks like Colorado is going to the Big 12. And that was just a couple weeks before they announced that move. He didn't tie anybody else to it. He didn't speculate, well, Arizona's going with him or anything. He just said, looks like Colorado might be going to the Big 12. And then they were. So is Josh right 100% of the time? No. But is he right on Realignment? Well, last time he tweeted something or said something kind of vague or cryptic or hidden messages or whatnot, he was correct, and I'm inclined to think that move could very well be in the works. I just don't know what that move could be. You could be talking about what I think is the key to the ACC and keeping it together post FSU and Clemson, and that's North Carolina. Because if you keep North Carolina around, I think you keep NC State around, and you keep the state of North Carolina as a whole, in which you have 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Actually, yes, it is 4, or twice the number of championships that the Heatles won with their big 3. You've got that many ACC schools in the state of North Carolina, which is why I think UNC, as kind of the flagship school, is the most important element for Jim Phillips to be able to keep unified or keep together, keep interested in the ACC somehow.
I wore my Penn State shirt actually today, Spencer. For those listening on anywhere you get your podcast, you can't see it, but I'll give it to you because Josh Pate actually tweeted, Penn State is at the corner of heart and head. Or brain, if you will. And I saw that tweet. It was like, normal Josh Pate tweet. And the next one was the shaking water. So I thought, I've got something appropriate for this. And to me, the entire Jim Phillips, ACC to Josh Pate tweeting this right after his mundane Penn State tweet is just what we've seen in realignment. Is that 3 weeks ago, it is, hey, North Carolina might stay. And 6 weeks ago, it is, will North Carolina go to the Big Ten? And 9 weeks ago, is North Carolina tied to NC State? And then for me, a week ago, it was, wait a second, if North Carolina legislature is making sure that they play NC State, then that likely means that the two could have at some point a split. So it feels
or at the very least that they're preparing for that possibility. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I said when that move was announced with the other in-state schools, I'm like, well, why would they need to ensure that they're playing NC State or play these other schools? Because they are prepared for the very real possibility that somehow, some way, North Carolina could move without NC State. And if the Wolfpack just become available, then I have a hard time seeing the Big 12 not swooping in and trying to get them.
Right, and I think to me, Spencer, and this alludes to the fact that North Carolina has such a presence in the ACC. Again, there was a point 3 weeks ago and 12 weeks ago and 20 weeks ago where we thought, okay, the ACC might be all right because of North Carolina, but it varies tweet to tweet. It varies at this point week to week. And now with more of this and the more that I see real college football pundits posting about the ACC's demise, I get more worried for that conference. Now, from the host of the Locked On Big 12 standpoint, that is a good thing for us. If the Big 12 wants to stay alive and the look-in clause is going to affect this conference, you're going to have to add more valuable brands to the league. If that means the death of the ACC and the life of the Big 12, from my perspective, I enjoy hosting the podcast that I host. I'm going to be okay with that. From a general fan's perspective, this is another cog, and the destruction of the state of North Carolina and their influence on the ACC is another cog taken away in the machine that was the college football we knew and loved.
Could you imagine, I don't know why this thought popped in my head, but I'm running with it anyway.
Good.
Can you imagine if the equivalent of realignment took place, but at a governmental level for the United States? Like if North and South Carolina were thinking about a merger, or if South Carolina was considering renaming itself to South Kentucky because they feel like they're more affiliate, or if Oregon and Washington and California and Montana decide to make one big mega state to dominate the West Coast. Like, do you see how crazy that sounds? That's how crazy all this stuff sounds. And I'd like to make my stance on this matter very, very clear. This is the biggest story in college football. I take absolutely no joy in this being continually at the forefront of the college football world. I don't want the ACC to go away. And I understand why Florida State and Clemson feel like they have to get out. And if they get to the Big Ten, so be it. I would like, personally, for the ACC to stick together. And maybe I'm just too much of a sucker for regionality and such. But we'll end this subject on this, Drake. Does the Big 12 need to add more teams? Because I feel like they're in a very good, very stable spot right now. And I don't get the sense, perhaps I'm too disconnected from the Big 12. You of course know better. I don't get the sense that there's a big pressing need. Like, oh my gosh, if they don't get, NC State and Pitt or Louisville in this realignment, shift, then the Big 12 is going to be doomed. Like, I don't feel that way. I think the conference is pretty good as is.
Yeah, the Big 12 is not in a bad spot necessarily, but when you're playing catch up the way you are with the SEC and the Big 10, it's a matter of time before those two conferences become the decision makers here. They are the ones, the TV networks, have the most.
I think we're already there.
Yeah, right. So how do you play catch up? I think it's probably too late. Then it becomes instead, how do you stay relevant in any way? And many would say the Big 12 can no longer be relevant because the prominence of the SEC and the Big 10. The way that Brett Yormark has to do it is that look-in that he specifically asked the College Football Playoff Committee for. What he is trying to do is make the league more valuable. I don't think where the Big 12 is with these 16, you can sit on these schools and just accrue, become more valuable, become more prominent. You're going to have a Louisville, who is number 23 in the EADA revenue numbers across the country the last 20 years. You're going to have to add maybe it's a Pitt, a dream scenario of a Miami, an NC State in there, where you begin to bring prominent members of the ACC on that make you more valuable from a school-to-school standpoint. The Big 12 is looking for that for sure.
I can only see Miami winding up in the Big 12 if all other options fail. I think they would try to go the SMU, Stanford, Cal route of like, hey, SEC or Big 10, give us an opportunity and we will be the cheapest possible option, but we have got to be in one of those two leagues. Coming up next, Drake and I are going to try something completely novel this time of year. We're going to talk about football and the team in Stillwater that just, wins every year. Is Oklahoma State actually able to win the Big 12? That's coming up next. First, let's talk eBay Motors here because we were just talking championships a moment ago. We will talk about that more. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, which is really good. With all the parts you need, at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. ebaymotors.com, eligible items only, exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.